I got 7 o'clock, so we'll bring this meeting to order. Looking around the room, it looks like we've got everyone here tonight. Glad you could make it, Ron. Likewise. So I tried to get everyone minutes sent out. So in your packet are the minutes from last month's meeting. Motion to approve. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, they are approved. So first thing on tonight is we've got the impact fee sent back to us from budget and finance. So the motion they made at last month's meeting was amended at, excuse me, make sure I say this right. The motion that was made at last month's meeting was amended on Tuesday night. Their new motion is that the appropriations of all impact fees shall be $1,500 to the general services fund and any excess to the credit. Okay, hold on a second. Impact fee shall be $1,500 to general services fund and any excess to be credited to the capital projects fund for all residential, commercial, and industrial.
Which is 171.
Well, no, well,
I believe that was the.
yeah, but the way their motion is, it's a little,
So we'll have to send it back again.
so,
Into,
well, so I've talked with Mr. Beller and I've looked into Robert's rules. One subcommittee has no more authority than another subcommittee. Unless it goes to the full committee to be voted on, it's just a suggestion. So we have two options. We can take their suggestion, or we can leave it as it is and send it back. And when it hits the floor, okay, here's what codes and zoning, here's the suggestion from budget and finance. It can be amended at that point, or.
you may lose this, though. You get one opportunity.
Well, the thing that they have with their motion is, once again, and I think maybe, I don't know if it was just the way Amy typed it, or it's just them not knowing what they're talking about. I think she's already left for the day.
You can hear when I walk in.
Amy, are you still here? Did you come here for a second? Because the way this reads, for all commercial and industrial, so is that the way they stated it?
Please say that again, as I was coming through.
So the motion that you have here, their amended motion, is that how they stated it?
That is how it was stated.
Okay,
So not the 171.
because they didn't list the other fund, they listed residential, commercial, and industrial.
I'm sorry, did I read out the other fund?
So I don't know if this
The
is
excess needs to go to the capital fund.
Okay.
171, yeah, we have heard.
of all residential, commercial, and industrial.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I needed to have clarified, that it wasn't just a clerical error or. Yeah, so the way this reads, the fund and any excess to be credited to capital projects fund.
Yeah.
Okay, now, for all residential, commercial, and industrial, that doesn't. Okay, so that's the part that just needs to be, the wording needs to be cleared up on that.
I can take that off.
Okay,
And to
Because it
clarify,
starts off
capital projects fund
so
is
you can just,
171.
yeah. So it says all impact fees, there's no
What is
reason to put
171?
the last part there. Okay, so that's what they're wanting to do. So,
Explain it again, then.
so the way it is they want $1,500 to stay going to the general fund. They want all the increases that we did to go, the difference to go into capital projects fund.
Well, let me just ask you, how is that different from what we?
We had everything going back into the general fund, just as it was
Oh, we
amended.
don't.
in 18.
I like this better.
So,
100%, okay.
and that was the whole point of us sending it to them.
Wait. Well, oh, here's out here.
So,
General fund.
Capital projects fund is not a jail fund.
71. No.
It
it's
is any
not.
capital project.
Yes.
So sidewalks, road improvements, any contributions to the water department, which I'm still doing some research on, but I believe from what I found out so far, we cannot contribute property taxes directly to the water department. But we can give the water department a grant, per year.
So we
To help with
can
water
go and
lines.
obtain a grant and do a pass through to them.
We could do that, or we can actually, just like we do to the health department or the fire department, we can do a lump sum grant to the water department. But I'm still having to verify that because there's murkiness between utilities and county, and I want to make sure 100% that we
They
can
apply,
do that.
as I say, they apply for 15 grants and they might get one or two.
Yeah.
And on the front end of it, it looks like they may have an excess of funds. They do not. It takes a lot of money to operate that. This water system here is probably 50, 60 years old. It takes a ton of money to maintain it. We've got places in this county, I've seen a list this long, of roads that does not have water. We're looking at building a new jail, but we got people without running water. So it's an issue. They're looking down the road a little bit because of the issues that happened in California with the fires, no water. Look for there to be grant money coming for fire suppression needs, which would put a 6-inch main to the end of the county line, in which time that will solve all of it. But in the meantime, we got people off on 25 that don't have water.
I'm 100% for that water main. If a fire engine comes to my house, they're gonna put water on my neighbor and try to keep them from burning, cause I'm too late.
Yeah. So,
I would also like to point out too, that the general fund. I mean, we've already had the 1,500 for many, many years. And one of the reasons why I brought this forward as in we need to be looking at our impact fee and increasing our impact fee. Our general fund needs more money as well. Everybody is talking about whether or not, not just the jail or capital projects, but funding things for our county that we need to have, our staff. Different departments need more funds available to them in order to maintain or even come up to speed and be current on technology to get going, just like now we've got permitting software for, the planning and codes and zoning department. I don't. Personally, the 1,500 just going to the general fund. It hasn't changed for the general fund. I mean, if we're gonna do all the excess to the 171. Is that the best use of the impact fee? And is there another way? I've got some examples here of, and with the amended. Budget suggestion of the 1,500 being the basic and keeping it to the general fund and the excess going to. The 171, and then also the recommended of a percentage, that was also talked about as
so
well.
that became a I don't want to speak over you, but that became a non-linear scale for every one of these projects on an individual basis. Don't end up being an algebra project.
Yeah, so that's why I had that conversation with Amy to explain to her that process. The way that they originally were coming at this is, it was, so whatever the difference was, then that'll go to this other fund. Well, the difference varies depending on the project that was having to pay the impact fee. 1,500 square foot home would have paid $1,500, so the difference would have been the difference between the old and new 1,500. But as we, that or fell in there, so if a 2,500 square foot home, well, the difference wouldn't have been as much. And so you'd had to calculate each one
You would have had
to know
literally
which
had to
difference
have
was where.
table.
That's not what I'm saying.
But that was why, when it was, shared with Brandon Beller, he recommended that they just do a percentage. They just do a 30 and a 70. I think we'd even talked about that in here at one point, but that was why we were sending it to Budget and Finance. So let them have their hands on it. We were just going to set the amounts, let them, how they wanted to kind of budgetarily divide it
If I
out.
may, because I have done that, I've done some calculations. I've put together some various examples of residential, of commercial, and of industrial, various square footages with what we've got.
Mhm.
And I think you'll be surprised on how it all works out. So if you would in mind us kind of going and moving through all of this.
That's good stuff. Ready then. Random papers? Yes. Yeah, whatever. What flowers you bring them?
Okay, so at the very top, we've got the residential block. Where current state we have here, if it's $1,500 if it's less than 2140 square foot. So we go across over here. I have the first example as the 2,450 square feet. Well, that impact fee would have been $1,715. All of that would have gone to line item 101, which is the general fund. Okay? The next block down is the new, so the 5,000 flat fee. For that example, it would have been $5,000 for the impact fee. And then based on the amended budget suggestion, the $1,500 would have gone to 171. The increase would have gone to 171, which would have been $3,500 going to 171. Again, no change to the general fund. Now, if you go down to the recommended where you do 30% to the line item 101, 70% to the 171, now you've got $1,500 going to the general fund and the 171 going the 3,500, okay? The next example is one that's even more, the 3,345 square foot. There is not a change in the residential section, okay? So even if you do the 30% and the 70%, there's not a change in residential because it's all a flat fee. It's all 5,000.
Yep.
For that. But you'll start seeing the difference. Let's look down at the commercial impact fee. Commercial current was, I have the example, the 9,000 square foot. Everything is 30 cents a square foot for that. So the impact fee would have been $2,700 for the impact fee. All of that would have gone to 101, the general fund. Now, with the impact, what we're recommending is the 5,000 for the base. And if it's over 5,000 square feet, it's plus, not or, plus 50 cents per square foot. Well, you've got your base of 5,000. The difference would have been 4,000 square feet, so you've got $2,000 added onto that. So your impact fee would be $7,000 for this example of 9,000 square feet.
That's kind of small. Just 2,000 more for a commercial as opposed to residential.
No,
No, it's in addition to the base 5,000, so the impact fee is $7,000.
Right, that's kind of small.
Not realistically.
Not for a-
Look around.
The Dollar Tree over here is about 9,000 square feet. So they would have had an impact fee of $7,000 rather than what they paid, which was maybe $3,000. If we go by what was recommended by the budget committee, 101 would have had $1,500. The 171 would have had $5,500 go into the 171.
okay, so,
Go,
excuse me, so as we're looking at this, really the difference is where do we think the most of the money should go? Because under their recommendation, you're still gonna get 1,500 to general. But they're saying that the impact should go towards capital outlay instead of.
That's
other-
the biggest elephant we've got in the room,
Yeah.
because they will continue, the 101 balance is funded through the budget hearings for the county based on the general pots, for everything. So 101, if we increase it with this, it's not really going to impact like what you think it will. Because they have when they do the budget, they have a number they have to hit.
Mhm.
So us adding to it, it should, on the grand scheme of things, it just leaves a little bit left spread out everywhere else. And it's like they pointed out, is that you won't have anything left to show for it, really. The difference.
Cause this pulls it out off the top and automatically sets it over the capital outlay.
And the thing is, capital outlay, we gotta figure out how the jail's just one thing.
Yeah.
We've got some obligations coming, we have no way to meet at all.
And I think what Rosalie is bringing up is a valid point.
It is.
We've only been considering, at least in discussions here, of hard capital outlay type product or projects as far as impact. We haven't really been taking into consideration the impact on having to hire more employees. And having, payroll impact and, just some of the technology stuff that we're having to
Understood.
now pay for also. As we're getting to be a larger county, it takes more to process things. One person can only do so much in an 8-hour shift and nobody likes the word overtime. So I see your point and I appreciate the numbers that you've got
Yes.
here because it makes a really good example of kind of where we're
It's a
going.
good argument.
So the question before this body though, because we've already discussed this for months, everyone was very happy with the way it laid out. I thought I would hope to have made it clear that I really wasn't worried about kind of where it went. I was leaving that to budget and finance. Budget and finance has come up with this. So our role here is either to amend it and make the change, if that's what this body wants to do, to what budget and finance is suggested, and let it go with the approval of both bodies to the full, or don't make any changes, send it to the body with our recommendation is this, with budget and finance recommending the other, and let the full body vote on which way they want to go.
And you stand the opportunity of losing because of it. And that's the problem, is that you get one shot to take this.
I mean, it does give the point of amendments, which is something that, for some reason, the whole body really seems to not understand that process.
Why did they wanna change it?
They thought, from the discussions when I was there at the meeting last month, I wasn't at the last meeting. So at that discussion, their point was, they saw that the impact needed to go towards capital funds because we have so much that we're gonna have to spend in capital
They
outlay.
can always amend.
And you can always make budget amendments, just because it goes into
We
that fund. doesn't
pass
have to
those
block.
nearly every other month. Yeah.
Budget amendments for the 101.
Yeah,
Or-
or how
or
this,
for the capital
how this
outlay.
money's disseminated.
Right.
I mean, this isn't permanent, this is to get this on books. and
This is
start-
just a place for Cindy to
Start getting
deposit the money when it's given to her. So much will go to one fund, the other one goes into the
If there's
other.
a need.
And
You
that's-
get a lump in the projects, you could always take it out. Back to-
Yeah, that's just a simple budget amendment, which is what we do those like, or we literally vote on those every other month or two,
Yeah.
sometimes a bunch of.
But that, it just gives a holding place for the money. So it doesn't get initially mixed in with the full fund.
And
So
we
I
do have a lot
understand
of
the
capital
point.
outlays.
How many new houses a year? We're looking at on average, just curious,
About 137.
okay, 137 houses, bringing how many children a year?
But right now.
What we,
I
right,
know, but I know we can track that, here's the thing,
Two to each house.
okay,
well,
in 5
actually,
years.
more retirement couples instead of,
So in a 5-year time, we're gonna have to, we will have to, you can say you don't, but I guarantee we're going to have to deal with that.
Absolutely.
But that's 5 years down the road,
yes, but we need
and you
to,
do have
well,
to plan for it,
yeah,
but
We-
no one.
This
has
county's been
planned
operating
for this jail.
reactionary
yes.
That's
for
right.
decades, and that's
And-
why we're in the financial black hole that we're in right now. We should be looking proactively instead of reacting. Doing business proactively costs about a third less than what it does to do things reactionary.
Reactionary gets us a criminal justice center that we're now having to replace, 7 years later?
Right, that's
So
why we need to
let's-
do this jail correctly.
Exactly.
And
we
we're,
will,
and we're
but the
putting
funding
it off,
has
and
to be
putting
done.
it off.
We
and
can't.
putting off. I was told by the mayor just the other day. He went slow off this thing.
As long as we're showing,
And my
progress,
mayor said, "Nobody
we're
does
good.
this."
but
We need to be on the ball. We need to be
To
applying.
be fair, and I understand exactly where you're coming from. To do the 30/70, it's just adding maybe $100.
I know.
Into the general.
but we'll have to send this back to budget and finance, so. Or we
Will
could,
we?
well,
this
otherwise we
body
can
makes a
set,
motion to send it
we
straight
can
on.
send it straight on, but the thing is that we may end up,
I, and within the meeting.
but the thing is it's just like on Capitol Hill, you get one opportunity to get this through. And if we can always do a budget amendment, we know we will have better than average luck of getting us through. I hate to send something through that stands being whole up to the county just to lose it over Swallowing.
Gotcha.
And that, I know, I mean, the laws of averages, I mean, there's a good chance we could lose it. You get a few people who want to be vocal and be loud, and
So do you,
past behavior is a good predictor of how it will go.
oh, that's true. Do you feel that, the fees are fair? Do they feel like, yes, this is a good?
They
thing
track
for
with the
them?
rest of the counties around us. They really do track.
Oh, absolutely.
It tracks.
So that's not gonna be an issue with
And
them.
our
They're
expert-
going to agree.
Our expert counsel on this, who's been helping us, Rick, it will not slow it down.
Yeah, we won't.
You know, this is just catching us up to everyone around us. It is not, the example he gave with Cheatham County. Cheatham County took theirs straight up to 10,000 and it went twice, 3 times what everyone around them. And that's why it slowed their growth. We're just catching up to everyone around us. We're not doing what Cheatham County did. So,
But
And it still won't be as much as our surrounding counties.
No.
Honestly.
so
it won't.
the impact.
We may have to revisit this again in 36 to 48 months. You don't know.
So what we have before us is, as far as this meeting goes, is do we make the change to what Budget and Finance has asked us to do? And no matter what the language that their chairman used of adhere to their motion, they have no more authority over this body
I
as we
understand.
have over their
I
body.
just don't want to lose
So-
this opportunity.
And I understand that. And even looking at the numbers that Rosalie has given, knowing we can make budget amendments if as needed, I don't see where it really is gonna make a difference and whether it should be any hill to die on.
I make a motion that we go with what they're recommending, 1,500.
So we come in with an approval on both sides. We get this through, and then if there's any amendments that need to be made down the line, budget wise, we can always work on that. Because that, like I said, we do those. A lot of times, that's a large chunk of our
That's
business.
what I do, industrial over here.
Oh.
We just got cut off there.
Well, because it was really just going over what she showed in commercial, it goes the same way. You can look at the numbers there and you can see that the 9,000 square foot and the way the difference it breaks down.
Yeah.
I mean, instead of $2,700 going to 101, now you've got 1,800 going to 101 and your 43 goes to capital outlay. So it was just showing the way the progression would go. That's why
And in some sort of catastrophic measure, Rosalie,
Sure.
there could be a budget finance where 100% of this goes to 101 for all.
because that's strictly just another amendment that
I
goes
mean-
before the commission and they make that change.
It could easily happen.
Well, and what happens when a permit is obtained? When I do the receipt, I'm the one that's putting on there what goes to where. Whether it goes to 101, whether it goes to 111, and how much of that goes where based on, permit fees, impact fees, and they take it in, at the trustee's office. And so what I'm looking at is trying to get it into the permitting software too, and have it be where they're gonna be able to do that, rather than, because right now, we're still in the,
So,
I see what she's saying. She's saying the way I'm looking at
So-
it, they're gonna get less money with the new,
You are?
yes.
Is it that, no,
It's
I
gonna
think
be 1,500.
it's just a matter, it's easier
Yes,
for the
there's
software if you do a
we got
percentage.
more in the old
Is
way.
that-
Yeah, like 2,700 all goes to 101.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah,
That's what it says.
well, in the old way it does. 'Cause
And then on the
it
new
has
one-
went.
1,500 goes to 101.
Yeah, and that's,
Currently, it all goes to 101.
Right.
The new way,
But
6,000.
But this square footage scale. A roof is a roof.
Yeah.
When it comes to residential.
Sure.
It doesn't matter if it's a 2,100 square foot, 1,000 square foot house, or a 5,000 square foot house. If
Yes.
there's gonna be children involved, there's gonna be.
water, sewer.
Water, sewer, everything else gonna be involved. The square footage of the house is just semantics.
Exactly.
And so that's why the flat, and that's why other counties have adopted a flat. It's just the impact is the impact.
And it's easier.
The number of
to
shingles is how
program.
much you want to spend.
It's easier to put in the program and get everything
So,
automated.
so that's what I'm hearing, is that the issue is, are you saying that your recommended of the 30/70 is easier for the permitting software to calculate than to do the 15-1 and then everything else for the other.
And then it's all just programming, it's all just codes. You know, lines of code,
Okay, so
but
there isn't really a difference as far as the software goes between one way or the other then.
technically, no.
I mean, that's what I need to know, when we present this. So I have a motion to send it, to change it the way that Budget and Finance has recommended. Do I have a second?
Is this now the 30/70?
No, this would be the way that budget, minutes, that were amended, the way it read. So that would be the 15-101, and then everything else goes to 171. So your middle section there,
And everything else they same.
everything else stays the
So
same.
I know somebody had said something to me, a question in the industrial. Did you catch
I
that?
have heard questions about that, but no motions that were made coming out of budget and finance. Their chairman was very specific that he was only addressing the way the money was
Yeah.
being.
Okay, I just knew that.
Any changes to the amount can be done at a full.
And the reason
You know what I'm
being-
talking about.
is industrial development can wait, they have autonomy on how that is handled as far as taxes go.
Yep.
We have no forbearance over that, neither does budget. and
I
finance.
think what they
Who is
saying,
industrial?
this thing low because
No, it's a.
they had the opportunity
I
to,
know.
they just tagged it something to help, so
We're not.
But that being said, because I heard that argument that night at the meeting, because they do have the autonomy to change, it doesn't matter what we set it at. They're gonna be able to adjust it any way they see fit.
Well, I
So-
think we did this because we didn't want to run anybody off.
Exactly.
Not, I guess.
I would rather-
Somebody can negotiate on.
I would rather
Which they
personally,
can't.
looking at this, I would rather keep it low enough that they're willing to pay it. And the industrial board not waive it, than make it $3,000 more, and the industrial board waives it, we don't get nothing.
Okay.
Are industrial, is this industrial board people from Charleston County?
Yes, sir. Yeah,
Yep.
there is.
I got one question on this industrial, on 100,000 square feet. The old way, you got $30,000.
Yep.
And so now you're just gonna get the 7,500.
Yes.
Wait a minute.
That, and that
That's
can
what
be
we were
waived.
just talking
And
about.
that could be what?
Can they?
Well, here's the deal, is that they come in $30,000, they're gonna waive that. They're
You get
gonna,
none of it.
you're gonna get none of it anyway.
So at least now you're getting $7,500.
And they won't, they're.
They're gonna waive it because they're coming here to
The
build.
industrial board
As an
can
incentive.
negotiate.
Right.
All
When it
aspects
costs
of
somebody
this.
to come here, if it had to do with
Right.
impact fees, if it had to do with taxes later on, they can go.
And the reason being is that they're luring the business here for the long-term gain.
For employment and future property taxes.
Property
down the road.
taxes.
Now, but this is.
And, sales tax.
No, that's down the line, that's way down the line.
Actually, it will. They have
Yes, it
not
will.
broke ground yet, so they will hit them
They
industrial.
have not-
So that'd be $7,500. Right.
Let's get this passed.
So I have a first, I'm waiting to hear a second.
I'll second. Okay. Is there any more
Any
discussion?
more discussion on it?
I mean, like I said, it's not all concrete, everything we can.
Yeah, absolutely, that's one thing I've learned, is the only
At
consistency.
least it's
is
getting, at least
consistency
it's
of
getting
change.
rolling.
Which was the intent of this process in the first place. To do the due diligence, go through it, make sure, one, we could legally change it. And then at least try to present something that brought us up to everyone else. If the full body thinks that these numbers are too low, they have every right to amend it on our
On the
meeting.
spot,
And you change the numbers.
but at the end of the day, you get one opportunity to present this. And if it's something that is important to this county as this is, this revenue and this actual influx of capital, you don't want to blow it by sending something that isn't airtight. Because I've seen too many extremely important projects and extremely important things come before that commission as a whole body and seen it get thrown out the back door over 2 people or 3 people or somebody with a nefarious agenda. And the next thing you know, it's over and we can't bring it back and that opportunity's gone. And then the ramifications of losing that opportunity is costing us so much more down the road to go a different direction over an agenda.
Well, and a prime example of that was the ordinance that planning put forth for the saving, mature trees. We've had all this development and clear cutting for apartment complexes and subdivisions. Now you got rooftops and driveways and parking lots. And this last big rain we had, some of the worst flooding I've seen in Trousdale County in a while.
And people didn't
And all
understand
flash
that.
flooding, just
They
runoff.
said, and you've gotta go back to the commission to get permission, because that tree's right in the way of the blueprint. No, it never said that. It never even said that.
No one actually read that. They read a couple of lines of it and said, oh, this is just stupid. And
Again,
never read the ordinance.
you get one opportunity.
Well,
So do you
Yeah.
feel that this
Amen.
is airtight, being the
I
way it's
think-
presented?
If
The
going, but based on my opinion, coming to the general body with positive recommendation from this subcommittee and budget and finance subcommittee, it will have high favor. If we go at it with, we recommend this and they recommend this, but we want to recommend it with this change, this, this thing, they go,
It's gone.
shut it down.
Computer.
It's not ready, send it back. And there is no send it back. When it gets to that point, it's dead,
Got it,
and we'll be at 1,500. From now on.
gotcha.
You don't want to lose this opportunity.
Now, if this is passed at our next, maybe this Friday. I mean,
Monday.
No,
Monday,
It'll be, huh?
we didn't have it at work session. It's not on the agenda.
Okay, so it'll be the following.
we can ask for an amendment, people put
Yep.
amended on there. all the
That,
time.
bro, the chairman's sitting right there.
It's
so-
already been discussed by budget and finance.
We know. We know,
In the,
we know.
We ain't got enough time.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
If we try to shove it through, I've seen us lose
okay,
really powerful things. I'm not gonna vote for something that I just got moments before or a day before.
so my question is, once, today is the real meeting that we're voting on. The
For
big
this,
meeting,
for
no,
this
the
one.
big meeting,
Okay.
the next day, will we start collecting the money?
It has to be voted on 3 times, it's it was done last time.
Yeah.
It'll have to have a first and a second reading, and then the third time will be.
Can be on the same night as the second.
So we're gonna miss the spring rush of all the new homes.
Not really. It'll be in April.
Okay. That's when I really start having a lot of building permits being pulled in April and in May, and then again in September and October.
But if we try to do it any other way, we run the risk of losing.
I agree.
So I have a first and a second. Is there any other discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? All right, it passes with a favorable to make those changes. So with those changes made, I'd like to hear one more motion if I could. Do we want to send this to the full commission as the current amendment that we just voted on?
Yes, I mean, why wouldn't?
I'm,
With both favorables, I believe it has a stronger chance.
so, do this would
I'd like to
instead
get
of,
it in there a month early.
if,
It's not gonna happen if we do that, but we want to win, we don't want a chance of
so
losing.
here's why I'm asking. Because in my opinion, as it sits. If we just, okay, that's done, and we push it on through the process, it goes back to steering, goes back to whoever wants to pick it up, whatnot. If this body recommends it to go to the full commission, then it goes to the full commission, that's the path.
So it appears in the next month board
It
session,
would be the next works, yeah, next.
and then the
month's
following
Commission,
commission meeting.
Yeah,
It will be the first
reading.
Yep.
It'll be the first reading,
And next month is
second.
March. So it's gonna be April, the end of April, at least, at the earliest.
No, it'll be at the end of April, because you got
I said
March,
end of
March, yeah, March. March will be the first and second will be the first reading, April will be the second, third reading.
But if we don't send it through.
no, I got a correction for you guys. Because the way this is written, ordinance for the impact fee, to be enacted, this ordinance shall be amended. Should amend the impact fee set in ordinance and take effect on July 1st, 2025. By majority vote on a 3 separate reading with public welfare requirement. If you want it to start in April, we've got to change that.
We said that,
That is the way the previous one was written.
the previous one,
We were only amending the section of the fee,
yeah.
We're not,
So-
not the entire verbiage.
not the entire verbiage. So if we want to change it and make it immediate,
Immediate.
then we've got to make that change.
Again, that's gonna peel the Band-Aid off, and it's gonna start the whole process over again. We may be better off to leave it like that instead of having, because otherwise, we're gonna have to start the whole thing over.
And the reason it's done that way is because it's a levied fee and it starts the new budget cycle. That's why that most of these are done that way, when there's impact fees.
But if we're gonna rewrite the entire piece, we have to start it that way. To rewrite the entire piece.
You can take it to the commission and. But I mean.
Oh, it can be amended.
That night,
It can be.
if they go along with the date, they're gonna go along with it. If they don't have the date, then make school go along.
Or they could say no, and then we're stuck at 1,500.
If you pass this amendment to the ordinance,
This is an
Can we-
amendment, it's not a new ordinance.
yeah, it's just an amendment to an existing ordinance. So, but you do that, the motion could be made to amend the amendment after it's been passed,
Right,
to change the date.
Let's wait till it's passed.
Let's let it pass, and
Let
then,
it pass, and
then you
then
can,
change.
Same night.
yeah, and then one of you gladly make the motion to amend the effective date.
Same thing I was thinking of, just.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got.
But
So we're gonna vote on letting him make that motion. They like him.
Well, now, are you saying then you need another motion to take it to the full commission?
That's what I'm asking for, is a motion to take it to the full commission
as is,
as is with a
As
favorable
amended.
recommendation. If someone make that motion,
I might.
okay, so I got a first
Second.
and a second. One. All in favor?
Right.
Any opposed? All right, so we are done with this. We have done our due diligence. We have spent months working on this.
It's not gonna impact the buildings, it's gonna end up with the end user.
All right, so that one being done, we'll move on to our next one. Burn permit. So now I got with. After a couple of months of not hearing anything from the fire chief, come find out, he didn't know he was supposed to contact me. But the last meeting that we had concerning the burn permit, Mr. Buckmaster had come in and was talking with us. This was back in November of last year. And he was supposed to go and take the final verbiage over to the chief and let the chief read over it, give us his opinions of how he, any changes. I never got anything back from him. I reached out to him. There was a drop in communication with his department. He looked over what we had and he said, I am perfectly fine with the verbiage y'all come up with. So what you have in front of you now is the ordinance and the burn permit that would accompany that ordinance.
So we already voted on it, didn't we?
No, we didn't win because we were waiting to hear back from the fire chief. So this is now, we voted on the verbiage. This is now approved by the fire chief. He's good with it. So now this is actually what would go to the commission if this body chooses to. We'll go to the body for next month's meeting.
Can you burn lights in the yard these days?
Yes. It says open burning permit, permitted without a permit. And it gives you your list. Open burning requiring a permit. Open burning of trees, limbs, leaves, brush, grass shall be conducted by permit only. So there's your answer. If this were to pass.
What's the time limit on the permit? I didn't necessarily see that in here. How long the permit is good for?
Is this the whole county or in the city?
This is city limits only.
Okay.
This will be the urban district.
But keeping in mind that we do not have adequate fire suppression in all beaches of the county.
Exactly. But he asked for urban district. He said the county falls underneath the forestry's regulations. He wasn't gonna venture out into all that.
Understood.
There isn't a time.
There is not a timeline attached to this permit.
But there's windows in the burn season. There's windows
There
of
are.
time, there's windows where you can't, there's windows of time that you cannot.
It does say that the fire chief has the ability to deny any or revoke any permit issued.
If there was a big him calling something.
The dry
Real
season.
dry, say, hey, don't give them a burn phone.
Exactly. Or if someone has a burn permit and then they're doing outside of what their permit will allow, they can revoke the permit. Or if all of a sudden they got a permit, if we had a real dry spell, I mean, it's his discretion.
You know, until I was on the fire department, there was something I never seen. If I saw before, I see a green hayfield, and it's green, it's been, you know, it's been mowed down, but it's green. There's dry under that,
Yeah.
and I have seen fire spread under the green and get to a barn.
Yeah.
And
When I was on.
I had a whole new understanding at open burning. Now burning a pile of brush in the middle of this hayfield, a long way from anything else, how could it burn this down over there? And I've seen it happen.
When I was on emergency services last year, when the chief would bring in the different call lists of what, structure fires. But 90% of what they get called out for are brush fires. That's why we have the brush trucks. Well, one truck and hopefully another one comes.
1.5.
1.5.
Yeah.
And is there water to pick those out?
Yeah.
They carry 300 gallons.
Oh, on the brush truck.
On the brush truck, and then they've got the pumper truck to refill the brush where they can run back and forth. This, like I said, this is just for the urban district. I need to make sure. Yeah, because it falls underneath code title 7, and that's what the top of where it says fire code. So this is the section for just the urban. And it's just gonna be put in as 7-207
And you're saying,
underneath everything else.
there's already somewhere within the code how long that permit's good for.
No, there's not.
Well,
That is.
I mean, I could go get my permit 2 months ago, that's why I'm burning today. Is that what we need to put it in? Cause it could be, if I got it 2 months ago, and now we're in the dry season.
Well, now's the time. If you want to get clarification on that, you can summon the
That's-
chief over here.
Well,
How
that's
much is
why
a permit?
$20.
$20, yeah.
To go to the
If
fire
you put a
department.
time limit in it, they're gonna get it done.
Well, like I said,
Yeah.
I wanted to bring a printed copy for us to go through before it went anywhere. Because we had so much discussion and then so much time in between discussion. I wanted this body to be able to look at something on paper and say, okay, here's what we need to change. We can make those changes, bring it back on the
So-
next meeting.
How about this? How about we get a timeline or get a window of time per permit from fire chief?
Okay,
And what about his fines? Do we not need as a penalty? Could be fines, penalties, or other.
That'd be a
Should-
better,
that's the whole idea of that discussion was. The officers would write a citation, they would go in front of the judge. And the judge can levy that.
We'll assess it at his discretion.
Okay, what if somebody's got a lot they're clearing off and they got the trees piled up and it's in the city limits, can they burn them or not?
So state requires you can, the state says you can do it as long as the vegetation is from that lot. You can't bring it in
Right.
from another.
Okay.
Now, according to this, if we pass this, you'll have to get a permit in order to do it,
Right,
and then you should be able to do it.
right.
Because that is considered an open burn. You can't, depending on how big that pile is, you couldn't actually enclose it enough to keep it from being an open burn. So, yeah, that's, you would get your permit
Okay.
and you would be given you would either be granted the permit or told when you could, get a permit.
Right.
And y'all are saying that, the fire chief will contact her and say, okay to do them this week or this month, and stop, don't do them. It's up to the fire chief to contact her and say, contact, we don't. Okay, contact Rita.
Rita will be the one who's handling the permits.
But who's gonna
So-
tell her? Is it up to her?
No, she's just issuing the permit. It's up to the fire chief to contact the person. He'll get emails of every permit that's issued. Then he's up to whether they
And
can,
that's why we probably should get the chief in here one more time to clarify.
and we had discussed a 40-hour window from the time you got your permit to when you could burn.
the conditions change pretty quick.
I
Yeah.
thought we were talking about like a weekend, because if somebody wanted to burn over the weekend, they
Yeah.
come in on a Friday, get the burn permit, and then it would be ended at the, like on Monday.
Well, but if you do it that way, then you don't give the chief time enough to check his email and either say, yeah, that's okay, or contact him and say, well, you can't burn it.
But here's the thing, we need to bring them in here one more time before we take this forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we need to get, now that we've got this put together, we just gotta get some clarification on
Yeah.
length of time. And then the schedule in which he contacts Rita's office and lets them know, no permits. He'll have to be on top of that.
Look at that as opposed to, I get my
And you
permit,
can
go
burn
home,
next year, yeah.
get ready, and then he call and say, oh, you can't.
Well, so that would, like I said, we've had this discussion. And I don't remember if we ever did a motion or did anything beyond the discussion, but there, I remember bringing the idea up of giving him 48 hours. So when you get your permit, there's a 48-hour window before you can burn, which gives the processing time.
Well, let him define it.
Yeah.
Let him define that. You know, because I've been there when they said, no burn, no burn, no burn, no burn. Because they have, conditions, or it's okay to burn.
And at the same time, that's just to burn. Well, how long is the permit good for?
I know, that's
So
all
if you
that,
get it
we
on
need to-
Friday, and it comes a big thunderstorm on Saturday morning.
that's what I'm saying, we
Well,
need to
they
get,
won't give you one on Friday, and it comes a big thunderstorm on Saturday morning.
Yeah,
we need to bring him in here, get this stuff defined. That's handful of questions.
We running,
all right.
taking on lots of.
Well,
Yeah, I would think. it
we only
would
had
need
one
to
thing
be
missing out of it. I
This
think that's
week's
pretty
good,
good,
this week's bad.
as long as we've been kicking this one around.
Get some of this stuff defined.
All right. So I'll get with Mr. Wheeler and,
Get him in here.
get him in here for the next meeting if we can. I'll try to work with his schedule, the one we can, for the March meeting, to, when he can be here. So, yeah, we'll set another date so I talk with him, we'll work around his schedule. I purposely, kind of gave, Rick Gregory the month off, not coming to this meeting. One, we didn't have anything for him, he's still finishing up the last bit of what he was doing. And so I want to give him some time to be able to finish and get that over to the formatting individual to get that final copy to us. Because that needs to, once we get that final copy, we've got to proofread that. We've got to go through there and make sure that everything that is supposed to be in there is in there.
And it's gotta be delivered to the full body in sections.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
So we, just one night we talked about is, how we were gonna do, PUDs, PUDs.
Yes.
And it's gonna end like that, there's not gonna be any further discussion.
No. There is plenty of further discussion. I'm trying to wrap this up.
We've gotta
before we
wrap up
start a
this
whole
other
other
stuff before we
project.
bring this other stuff, yeah. Stuff in.
That's why I was a little perturbed that the impact fee got sent back to us. I thought we had done our due diligence and we were gonna let the rest of the commission actually have a hand in this decision making. But apparently they just want to keep kicking it back to us.
They won't, now we got a favorable from two, they won't.
Yeah.
Again. The level of importance, I've seen too many important things get killed. And we suffer later for it, and so,
And this is the committee we have, so it's the committee we deal with. So, PUD will be coming up,
I don't care
There's-
when, I just wanted.
No, I have not, there is a project waiting for that legislation. So I'm trying not to slow roll that at all. I wanted to get our agenda cleared up so that when we start that, because that's a whole nother ordinance, not just an ordinance, but it's a whole nother zoning. I think there's less work to do on that. Rick has already taken, the PUD legislation that he did for Cheatham County, because he did that. He converted it for Trousdale County. And so I've got a copy of that. So all we'll have to do is kind of go through that with him. And go through that paperwork, and then if everyone's happy with it, we send it on.
Is there a reason, and I'm sure there is, Is there a reason that we have our codes more like smaller counties such as Cheatham, as opposed to the counties that touch us, like Wilson and Sumner, who their codes are much stronger than ours? Is there a reason?
Yes,
What is?
the will of the county commission. Gross overreach of government.
At least in the past.
Yeah.
And that's the reason we've gone through to clean this up, because we had too many contradictions. From when this was city county, now that it's metro, it needs to read more unified. There was a lot of contradictions.
Well, and there were some contradictions in there where the county tried to play a little fast and loose with. Sit with the codes to be able to fit whatever project they didn't want coming into the county. So there's sections where there was a thing for quarries, and then all of a sudden there wasn't anything for quarry, but there were some left in quarry. And there's sections of that where things have been amended and not fully taken out, or
And that's why it had to be
Added.
completely overhauled, is to clean it up to where we don't find ourselves in a litigious situation. When somebody comes in there and we have flaws.
Yeah.
In the code that they can stand on and we'll lose.
Well, I guess I was talking more about the houses. Why should a builder that's gonna build in Wilson or Sumner build a better house in Wilson or Sumner than they have to? in
That's all
Dallas?
state code.
That-
That goes down to state. As far as the quality of the
Some.
house.
some, now that she has a little point. But I don't think she thinks it's worse than what it is. So like water runoff, we don't actually have like just any ordinances on how to handle water runoff. All we have is our building codes. And so the building codes, we don't, as far as I know, we don't have anything but something mentioning, I think it's like 15% grade. Then you have to take these other steps for controlling water runoff. But there are state and federal guidelines that are the same in, over everyone else's, and that's what Rosalie applies here, is the state and federal. Just because Trousdale County doesn't specifically say, hey, unless you're at 15 degrees of elevation, you don't have to, no. You can't let water on your property damage your adjacent properties. That's state and federal, and those have to be abided to. Now, it is hard for her to be able to enforce those things if we don't have it spelled out how we want her to enforce them. That's where it gets a little on the
But
tricky
as far
side.
as quality of house goes. That's all code.
And we are at the 2018 building code. Now, you're finding a lot more contractors that are wanting to build higher end housing coming to our county. They are building in our county. You are going to be having more affordable housing being built here as well. We're a very attractive place. We're one of the fastest growing counties in the state right now. A lot of contractors are saying that, and we are getting a lot of.
And we really need to get all that money.
It's coming.
Speaking to the stormwater, we do have some stormwater ordinances, but it's in our subdivision regulations. And, those that are developing subdivisions such as like Rolling Meadows, they have that where they have to have that in their planning. And at the last meeting that we had, I did mention that, projects that are gonna be coming to the planning commission to get their site plans approved are having to do feasibility studies for utilities as well as stormwater runoffs now, so.
And that's being looked at in the planning commission side of things. When they bring the site plans in, we're starting to scrutinize that because, like I said, this last flood we had, yeah, we had a lot of water. But all that water hit and dissipated within 3 hours. That was all from water runoff.
But our new jail, we could take up that little bit of water, grassland, we might have a storm runoff problem there.
The people in Kentucky were hit the other day. I wonder how many of them were told that that property was flooded. They had all that storm runoff, it flooded their houses.
So one of
Beautiful big subdivision.
Sometimes there's acts of nature that you can't stop.
That's right.
Yeah.
It sat down
We're gonna
on
get more and more of those.
the fall, sure.
the interesting thing was, because they've cleared off the top of, Acorn, where they're building behind on, the Hickory Ridge subdivision there. I warned Dollar General's, engineers, when they brought their site plan in, that they did not have enough preparation for water runoff coming off that hill. Because I knew they were gonna do, that subdivision I already been approved, and they argued with me. And told me, and quoted all about all their degrees and what they, what they thought they knew. That retaining wall behind Dollar General is already starting to lean over. This last bit of rain washed all the dirt around the manhole cover that was there. All that concrete's exposed and washed the dirt out into the parking lot. Everything I warned them about. Well, the water is something that, it's not just the steep of it, how the slope of the land is, it's how much rock is there. And if that water has nowhere to go, but on top of that rock, it's gonna go downhill quick.
They're gonna wash out there and land.
And the more roofs you put on there, that's just collecting it, putting into a gutter system and squirting it out of fire hose.
That's
And
right.
we
So
need to
it-
do something about that.
So I say that's also why it's important for the developers that are doing the large subdivisions that include new roads and everything that come with engineered plans that deal with not only
Mhm.
the aspects of the roads, the angles and everything, but stormwater runoff.
Dissipation of stormwater, that's why they have to
Well,
build
retention.
retention ponds.
Yeah,
Yes.
and so that's something that's gonna, planning is, that's kind of what falls on planning to keep up with that. And as we're looking at site plans, I know in planning, we were looking at an ordinance to deal with stormwater runoff. But that kind of fell off when everything we had worked on was getting shot down. We just stopped out of frustration. From the planning side of things. Planning's not here to tell everyone what to and not to do. Planning's here to let you know, here's the problems that are coming down the pipe with our growth. Here's a suggestion to fix that problem. And it's for the commission to actually look at that. And say, okay, whether is that the best or does it need to be changed to something better? But the problem still exists. And to deny the problem, it just shoots ourselves in the foot down the road. So if there's, do you have anything for us, Rosalie?
No, I think, we kind of covered everything.
So next meeting, unless something changes, I'll have you the written copy of the PUD, so we can all read through that. I'll try to get that email to you a week or two before the next meeting. And I'll try to get Mark Beeler in here to go through the timing on the burn permit. And so we should be able to wrap that project up and then start on the PUD. And as far as I know, that's the only thing we have in front of us right now to be addressing.
But if that's all we've got, can we bring back up a few things if they drop down?
We can,
Before we do that, so the time limit for the permit, but also the communication of whether or not.
Between his office and Rita's.
yeah, so there'll be,
communication timeline as well.
there's two timelines there that we need to look at, we need to address.
Duration
One.
of permit.
Yeah, the length of the permit and then the time he needs to process the permit. So just because you pay your fee doesn't mean it's granted.
Got it.
Whether he's gonna send an email out granting, the fee, the permit. Or if he's just gonna, if you don't hear anything from me, then go ahead.
Is that how it's done in other counties? It just seems like when you buy it, you should know, yes, no, you don't have it today, here it is, go do it.
I've never had a buy burn permit before. Now,
I mean,
my understanding is when you do it through the forestry agency, it's good for the time, the window that you tell them you're gonna be burning.
I mean, I may be in the mood today, I don't have anything to burn, but.
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
They'll
burn
buy
this
your permit
tomorrow.
until you're in the mood.
I know, but if I gotta wait for him to call me, I wanna know once I
No,
bring my
no, no.
money, I
He's
can
not
do
gonna
it.
call you, he's gonna let Rita's office know. the
That's what
time
I'm
window.
hoping.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yes.
hoping it'll be the day you buy it.
He's not gonna call you, he's gonna let Rita know timeframes of blocks of time that it's okay to issue prints or not okay.
That's what I want.
I thought maybe they could go and looking.
But they gotta get the permit regardless whether or not they're in the
we'll have
city
to-
limits or not.
No,
No, it's just urban services.
this is.
You ain't in the city limits, are you?
You're not, yeah.
No, that
Yeah,
was
yeah.
just an example I was giving.
So, yes.
No, I don't have fire water.
And let me reiterate, the fire chief said that he brought this to us because he just wanted it. He's wanting to fill in the spot that is already in the code for a fire permit. That was for the urban district. All he wanted is verbiage
Clarification.
to fill in that spot because no one could find the verbiage of the one that was passed in 93. So that's all he's asked for. We're not trying to go above and beyond anything that wasn't already voted on years past. So. But no one knows that verbiage, so we've had to create it. He's had to create his own and we've modified it. I think we've done a great job modifying it. I don't think it's near as confusing as what was originally brought to us, and it doesn't smack you in the face of what you can't do as soon as you look at it. So
It's bad.
I'm happy with the work this committee has done. Now, whether the full commission agrees or not, that's on them. That's their decisions to make. Is there any other comments or discussion?
There's no public here.
There's no public here, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. There we go.